This drink first appears in Harry McElhone's 1927 Barflies and Cocktails, and again a couple of years later in Harry Craddock's Savoy Cocktail Book. So the Artist Club in the Quartier Pigalle in Paris was at the time the favourite hangout of jazz musicians, poets, Picasso, so a pretty cool place to be. So this bright pink riff on a whiskey sour was credited with being the ink of inspiration for them. It would be interesting to know how many incredible artworks were created after a couple of these. I make no promises as to its effects on your artistic prowess, but it is rich and fruity and refreshing, so an absolutely delicious combination. The original recipe calls for redcurrant syrup, and it does bring an amazing tartness to the drink, but redcurrants aren't always available, so it definitely can be substituted with a good quality or homemade grenadine, raspberry syrup, or cranberry syrup. I'll pop the recipe below. I like this cocktail with an edge of smoke to it, so I'm using Johnnie Walker Black Label, but if peat isn't your thing, then you can absolutely use whichever whiskey you like. Just try and keep it on the lighter side of things. So blends do tend to work a little bit better than single malt, so they don't overpower the whole cocktail. And oloroso sherry is the richest of the dry sherries as it's aged entirely oxidatively, meaning it develops lots of nut and dried fruit and spice characters, so it can easily hold its own against the Scotch, even if it is a little bit smoky. And it also works super well with the fresh fruit flavors from the syrup. This is truly one of the most complex citrus-forward drinks I've ever had because of all of these layers of flavor. So it's an absolute winner in my eyes. So to make the artist special, first you want to prep yourself a lemon twist. So you want to just cut a nice long strip of lemon peel by cutting away from yourself. I usually just do it quite thick and then go back and cut the white pith off. You can also do this with a vegetable peeler if you find that easier. Just hold it and pull it down and then trim down if you like to make it a little bit prettier. We are trying to impress artists here after all, although I kind of think most artists are happy to drink whatever you give them. Next, we're going to pop 30 ml of Johnnie Walker Black Label into our shaking tin. Now, really any blended Scotch will work for this, and some single malts as long as they're kind of lighter and a little bit fruitier and easier to mix. This does have a little bit of smoke to it, and that carries through to the finished cocktail really nicely, and that's why I've gone for Johnnie Walker Black Label. And then 30 ml of your oloroso sherry. Again, I'm using Aurora. That's just kind of what I had to hand at Bomba, but something like Gonzalez Baez, Lustau, Tio Pepe are all really good options. 15 ml of your red currant syrup or whatever berry syrup that you're choosing to replace it with. Just bear in mind that obviously if it's something like a homemade grenadine that's not quite as bright and pink, then your finished drink isn't going to be quite as bright and pink either, but it will still be delicious. I know from experience. 15 ml of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Then we're just going to fill our shaker tin full with ice. Pop your tins together. And you should get a nice long straight line here, and then just shake as hard as you can. Grab your nice frosty coupe out of the fridge or freezer and just use your hawthorn strainer to hold the ice back in the tin and strain through the fine strainer. So you're just going to grab your twist and give it a sharp fold over the top of the drink. And just give it a little rub around the rim of the glass as well. Attach it nicely to the side of the glass so it doesn't bob about in your face. So there you have it. A drink to make Picasso proud. The artist special. So now you know. So let's dive in. It is just so lovely and complex because you obviously start off, you get that like little bit of kind of smoke and malt from the whiskey, and then it just goes straight through into a lovely raisiny dried fruit. but it never gets too sweet because obviously you've got the citrus and your nice bright fresh berry syrup as well. So yeah, I think whereas a lot of shaken drinks with lemon juice can be like just really bright and fresh and zippy, and you sort of drink them and then you're almost reaching for the next sip before you've almost thought about it. This one's definitely got a little bit more going on, takes a little bit of contemplation. So it's maybe why the intellectuals liked it so much.